Alrighty. Looks like we are live. Hopefully, people will get notifications and start filing in here. But anyway, this is the yelling at parked cars warm up, um, where we're gonna get because I mean you just it's better it's better when you warm up, like not instead of just like going straight into it. You don't want to pull a hammy or anything.
Yeah,
So
totally. Especially when you're yelling at
so
parked cars.
I thought I'd try this thing out, and what better person to start off with than the man himself, who does happens to have a show called Yelling at Parked Cars, Mr. Comics Division. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Showback. How about yourself, man?
Uh, I'm I'm all right. As they say, things could be better, but I'm counting my blessings. So,
Yeah, things can be better, but they could also be a
uh,
lot worse.
I mean, I could be a trucker up in Canada right now.
God, tell me about that. That's
But
that whole situation is a mess.
yeah, but how's that for a segue?
Yeah.
um,
Um.
um, so like I was saying just before we hit the live button. Uh, Apparently, the Canadian Parliament voted for the Emergency Powers Act. So that means that all these truckers and supporters and people who were actually peacefully protesting, unlike other groups have in the past, um, they can be arrested and have their bank accounts frozen.
Well, which has
And
already happened. They've already been freezing their bank accounts, which is
yeah,
terrible.
right. I mean, I know they did the, they squashed the GoFundMe, and they put a monkey wrench in the Give Send Go. But basically, from my understanding, this Emergency Powers Act basically is, um, just going to give the Canadian government the power to, there was like uh, some things going on back in 1930s Europe before World War II kicked off,
Yeah.
and this is kind of going down that road. Um,
It's very concerning. And one thing I think is kind of funny that Toxic Man Flu sent me. It's an article from Huffington Post talking about this article came out like in 2014, talking about how Trudeau is going to lead Canada. I always say Canada, sorry, Canada down the path of becoming a dictatorship, and it looks like it is coming true, which is kind of frightening.
but and the the wonderful one half of the McCabe twins, Nick McCabe. Shout out to the McCabe brothers and all our other Aussies out there. We love you guys. You're like the United States of the upside down part of the world. Uh, and anyway, he put out a tweet, and it was Trudeau uh, talking about this stuff, and of course, it's just a clip, so it's like just a part of the conversation, and it started out, he was speaking in French, and you heard him, say the word liberté, and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, how in the fuck can that man even utter the word, or think about even uttering the word liberty, you know?
Yeah, I think Trudeau and liberty don't exactly belong in the same sentence, let alone the same country. I mean,
But
it's pretty apparent that he doesn't give a shit about liberty.
you know, but the thing is, like, I think, I think about, everything we've seen, on the internet and whatnot, um, and just like the the absolute polar opposites of what the mainstream media has shown versus the independent guys, and the guys that you see on YouTube. You know, I mean, they, um, the YouTubers and the independent guys out there covering, the protesters basically having a freaking, dance party or something, right? And then, the mainstream media, you know, happens to put out, stuff that, like the very minute stuff that's like even remotely confrontational, and that they're just, painting with that brush of, freaking uh, insurrection and white supremacy and all this other stuff, and it's like, it, it couldn't be, the furthest, that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know, like there are some paid actors in the crowd, maybe.
Well, there's definitely, I think, people who are, you know, I'm not gonna say placed. That's the thing, right? You kind of have to have proof on whether they're paid, but there's definitely bad actors that will infiltrate any kind of movement. And this is something that's not new. The U.S. government did this with the hippie movement, and odds are that the Canadian government may have done something very similar. But you do have people that were bad actors. You have people that were trying to commit quote unquote arson by bringing firecrackers and bringing them into a building, and then you had the guy with the Nazi flag and the oh god, um, the Confederate battle flag, and all this stuff, and it's pretty apparent that for the most part, what the Canadian truckers were trying to do is have a peaceful protest. And I'm not saying that there weren't bad actors that were involved in the protests. I'm sure there always is, right? And those individuals should never really kind of mar the entire movement, unless it's happening like wholesale, like we saw with the BLM stuff. And also to be fair with the BLM people, there are legitimate people out there that want to have a peaceful protest and not a riot. And I would say that the Canadian truckers did it better, obviously, because what they did is they went into the community, they cleaned things up. They weren't trashing things, they weren't, defacing monuments like they were being claimed that they were doing.
Right.
They were being respectful of their citizenry, their fellow citizens. Yeah, they were, blowing the horns on their trucks, which I'm sure irritated shit out of a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I mean, they would stop at a certain point so people can get some sleep. It's not like BLM rolling into a neighborhood with megaphones screaming, "Black Lives Matter, people, wake the fuck up," which did happen. That happened in Chicago and various other cities. People were being respectful, and they were actually trying to make a difference. Where the funny thing about any major protest from the left, or the far left, I should say, and I'm not going to try and pay all people on the left this way, they basically leave trash behind. Yeah, I mean, just look at the women's protests or the women's march, any BLM march. Usually there's like trash that's left behind, and then the city is left, holding the bag, having to clean that stuff up.
Man, yeah, I know, it's crazy, because I mean, so the truckers show up and they park their trucks, and they throw up an awning and some lawn chairs, and set up a damn barbecue grill.
Yeah, and a bouncy castle.
Right? I mean, it's like, the I mean, that the closest thing that they had to a dumpster fire, or whatever, was a damn barbecue grill. They weren't setting, they're not setting public buildings on fire, like, like they did down here last year or whatever, 2020, 2021, whatever, Summer of Love,
Yeah, well,
the
the
Summer
summer
of
love was
Love.
2020, but you had
Yeah,
stuff going on in Portland for 2 years.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, did you hear about the Antifa people or whatever? Um,
Yeah, I heard there was some
and the homeowner down
Antifa.
in Portland.
Yeah, there's some Antifa violence apparently.
Yeah, and like they, I saw I mean, like him or not, I watched I watched a Tim Pool video, and I say video, but it's like they're like, anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I was watching a Tim Pool video, and he was talking about this, and the uh, apparently, like I can't remember whose article it was, but it was kind of like I think it might have been a New York Times article, but basically a mainstream media type of article, and to kind of like paint the brush of like what we've what they've been doing for the last, I don't know, 5 years, because they were talking about cops and stuff, right?
Hmm.
Cops weren't even involved. The reality of it was it was a homeowner, and Antifa people, and the homeowner's like, if I see you coming by my house, I'm gonna pop a cap, and the which is, I'm, in my humble opinion, that is totally your right as a homeowner, property owner, and living in a nice neighborhood to tell, quote unquote outsiders, if you come through here, with your shit like that, I got something for you, and anyway, apparently a little firefight occurred, and the Antifa-ish people um, went and collected as many shell casings as they could to make it look like, more in their favor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting. So
you
they actually had a firefight with this other guy, and they were collecting their own shell casings.
yeah, to make it look like they didn't fire back as much, or, like they were, to play into their, victimhood.
Right.
Yeah. But
That's terrible. I thought initially it was two Antifa guys that got into it and started shooting each other, but that's interesting. I didn't realize it was a homeowner.
yeah, no, I mean, it's according to that Tim Pool video, it was, it was a
Yeah,
homeowner
I'll have to go check that
telling
out.
them.
I only saw like the tweets on Twitter by Andy No, and I didn't dig into it last night.
Real quick, I thank you to everybody that's stopped by, that's in the chat. I mean, the great TMF, Toxic Man Flu, the Tommy and all his guinea pigs, wee wee wee. The and the lovely Sherry, oh my God, that is like probably the most appropriate YouTube handle I've ever seen in my life. Jason Lee Tucker, some dude named Comix Divisions in the chat.
I have no idea who that asshole is.
Bone, Kitty Cat Bone. Although I must admit, I prefer the Chihuahua Avatar Bone. I'm more of a dog person, but hey, still glad to see you. Channel Surf. I'm not familiar with Channel Surf, but welcome. To Helium, good to see you as well. Punk Waddle. That's another one of my favorite. Another favorite YouTube handle. Punk Waddle. I'd like to know. I'd like to know how you came up with that one someday. Blair to Blair. I've uh, uh, Blair to Bear has got a freaking awesome beard game going on.
He does.
Say, Keck 44. There's another long time person that I'm familiar with. Anyway, thank you everyone for stopping by, and just please stick around. I need the watch time. Anyway, so so later on, what is it? I think next month. It's sometime in March. It's supposed to kick off with our little freedom convoy on this side of the U.S. Canadian border. How do you think that's going to go?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how they do things, right? I think the biggest thing that made the Freedom Convoy successful is the fact that it was peaceful, right? Take all the non-threatening elements out of it, which means that what I'm kind of concerned about is people showing up with guns, even though I'm very pro Second Amendment and I do think you have a right to protest with your firearm. What made the one in Canada so successful is they didn't give the government a reason to really kind of engage in violence until the very end, right? I mean, it was obviously a bit of a last resort. And fortunately, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I mean, we did have 2 people that were trampled by a horse, which is absolutely terrible. I think it definitely makes Trudeau look very bad. And he is very fortunate that woman did not die. Where here,
but, I mean, she was already using a damn walker. I can imagine the shape she's in now.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I think she, walked away with just a dislocated shoulder. But because we had January 6th here, and they're looking for a reason, and I think things can go very different here because of what has happened over the last 5 years, to be fair. And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not to interrupt, but for those of you who are unfamiliar with equestrian, a horse, like, that's at least 1,000 pounds, 1,200 pounds worth of animal stomping down on you.
It wasn't just a horse. I mean, it's a draft horse. Draft horses are huge.
Yeah. But but still, yeah. I mean, like 1,000, 1,500 pounds, of pure muscle coming down on you.
And to be fair, draft horses are essentially war horses. I mean, they're huge animals.
I don't know. It didn't look like a draft horse to me. It didn't look that. It looked more like a quote unquote quarter horse, but still.
Maybe I'm off base on that, but my understanding is
either way, it's over 1,000 pounds worth of mass coming down on you. But anyway, sorry. I hope I didn't make you lose your train of thought.
No. I have an idea where I left off, but yeah, I think that it is a very good possibility that they could very easily label these people as domestic terrorists and severely crack down. Like I said, it really depends on how they do things. If they use Canada as the model, then I think they'll have a harder time. But I mean,
talk about a buzzword, freaking domestic terrorists.
Yeah, I know, but they're already putting up the fencing again. They're prepping for it, and I think they're prepping for the worst at this point.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
The damn fencing. Yeah. We don't want no walls unless it pertains to us.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're all they're all against border walls unless it's around the capital. So
yeah, or their own private residence.
Yeah.
that's one thing that always cracked me up. It's like the people that are yelling the loudest about not having, the wall down on the Mexican border and whatnot, are the same people who live in gated communities with like 10-foot high walls, on the property line. You know.
Yeah. But the good thing is though, because of the Canadian truckers and the threat of us having our own freedom convoy here in the States, they already started backing off on the mandates, right? You're starting to see this in California and various other areas in the US. So, again, I'm very much big on the prepare for the worst, hope for the best kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we should be concerned because I do think what happened in Canada is going to be the model. I mentioned this several times before that we are now looking to China as the new model, right? It's not about democracy anymore. It's not about freedoms and liberties. It's about transforming our current existing democracies into, essentially totalitarian regimes with a dictator. Because as Trudeau put it, you're able to turn your economy on a dime.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this. I think this has been happening for the last probably 50 to 60 years, ever since I guess we normalized relations with China. But there's definitely stuff that happened in the 90s. I always thought was really interesting under Clinton when he extended most favored nation status to China. And it's like, why would we do this to even then, of course, there's no internet for me to share my thoughts on this. I'm like, why are we doing this to a nation or giving this to a nation that basically has the worst human rights on the planet?
Well, and when you speaking of China,
China,
it came from China. Anyway, one of the disheartening things, especially with the here more recently, I after a drought in employment, I got a job working overnight as a like a receiver and stalker for a major hardware store chain. Anyway, the amount of stuff that I unbox and put on shelves that have the words "Made in China" on them is astronomical. Like I mean, I know there's a lot of things, right, that with that label that come over here, but damn, it's like, when you actually have the job that I do and you see those three words as much as I have over the last few months,
right?
I'm like, it kind of, I almost have like a sense of self-loathing, because it's like I feel like, and the thing is, you go to like a store, other than a grocery store, and you pick something up, there is a high percentage of a chance that you will see those three words on the freaking manufacturing tag, right?
Well, the funny thing is, you just made me remember something. I mean, back when we were younger, because we're right around the same age, I believe, it used to say "Made in Taiwan."
Hmm.
When's the last time you saw something that was made in Taiwan?
I still see things every once in a while.
I can't recall. I mean, not that I go and I look all that often, to be fair, but it's been a while since I recall seeing something that was actually made in Taiwan.
But I mean, the thing about it is, when I say self-loathing, is that, the things that, especially right now, or and in the recent past, whatnot, the stuff that I can afford to buy, makes it an even greater chance that, those three words will be on the tag. And as a as a patriot, because I mean, I'm that's like one of my main things is, I'm that I bill myself as, for
Right.
lack of a better term. You know, it it it, it it's just disheartening, and it almost makes me like hate myself that I have to buy things that say made in China, because it makes me feel like I'm supporting, that regime over there. Because let's face it, anything that you buy that has made in China on it, 50% of those profits, probably at least 50% of those profits, are going to the CCP.
Oh, of course. I mean, the only thing I can say that you can really do is try and find stuff that's bought, that's made in America. And all that takes is a little research, right? I mean, you're not going to find everything, but I mean, you can do what you can. I always, try and look for stuff that's made here first. But, at the end of the day, if you need something, you need it. And, yeah, it sucks that we're buying so much stuff from China, but you got to do what you can.
But I mean, it just, like I said, I don't know. It just makes me, it just makes me feel like I'm, helping them along, but at the same time, it's like, I need this or I need that, or the other thing. And unfortunately, it came from over there, you know.
I
But
just found this. I'm going to drop this in the private chat. So this is a company or a website called madeinamerica.co, and it lists basically a bunch of companies that are still manufacture stuff here in the U.S.
yeah, I don't know if I can, uh,
So I mean, if you guys are looking for something and you want to buy American, I mean, there are still companies here that manufacture stuff.
let me see. Let me see if I can transfer that over to the regular chat.
Let me see if I can post it. I don't know. I probably can't because I'm not a moderator. Would be my guess. Oh, I can. Okay, so it did post. So
uh,
hopefully people see that.
okay, well,
And
there we go.
I'll DM it to you as well, so you can
Yeah.
use this
Well,
later.
yeah, I got it. I put it in the YouTube chat there as well. Like I said, or I don't know. Well, that didn't say, but I definitely thought it. That it might be a little bit of an adventure, trying to host a stream on this phone here. Um, things are things are definitely much easier on a PC, whether it be laptop or desktop.
Yeah.
Uh, Anywho, but oh, I just thought of something. The Olympics.
I mean that thing
The
that
Olympics.
I think literally everybody ignored.
Yeah, I like I I don't know. I can't recall how much of the last Winter Olympics I caught, but I saw zero. I watched 0% of the Olympics this time around. Um, but I did hear about the virtue signal of them having a Uyghur Muslim light the flame in the opening ceremony.
That,
Um,
oh
so
god,
that was nice of them.
that's
Um,
funny.
and I don't know. I don't know if this. It might actually. I think it might have. I heard about one chick, but I think there might have been like at least a couple of people that decided to, uh, instead of representing or trying to represent the U.S., they decided they'd represent China. And
Yeah, I heard about that, and I'm not sure. I don't know the details. I heard somebody actually defected a while back.
yeah, but I mean, it's like I don't I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I don't see how anyone could even consider giving up their Americans, their U.S. citizenship to become, to represent China. I don't, it literally like makes absolutely zero sense to my, simple country hick mind,
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right? I mean, especially, I mean, being born in this country, it's like obviously either I don't know if their parents, came here from China and they've just been indoctrinated, but it's like, I mean, you do have that. I mean, we had the American Taliban, remember, from like a decade ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it does
Nut
happen.
jobs, the nut jobs that actually went over there, and yeah, I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, it's I don't think all that prevalent, but it does happen.
But it almost makes me, want a like kind of like a Where Are They Now TV show of all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, like what's become of them since then? Because it's like, oh, okay, you're 15 minutes of fame and all that, but now you like, you have no use to these people, and you're probably gonna get a hard dose of reality.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that China doesn't want that one female skater since she kind of bungled it.
Yeah,
So
I heard about that. Is that the one that like landed on her butt after she tried to do a certain maneuver or whatever?
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, not that that's uncommon, because it's not. I mean, you see
Mm-hmm.
that at least once every Winter Olympics. That a ice skater lands on their butt, instead of how they're supposed to. But it's, I don't know. I don't I just don't I don't understand how anyone could give up you know the way we regardless of our history or whatever. you know the United States of America, in my humble opinion, is still the best country on the face of the planet. It's like people can do stuff here that pretty much the majority of the rest of the world, in their quote unquote home countries, if they did the
Mm-hmm.
same thing there, they would at the very least end up in a dungeon like prison, and or um, being flown around in a helicopter by their neck.
Yeah. And I mean, I get the fact that America, we're not a perfect country, right? But I definitely think it's probably, but no country is at the end of the day. And I'd rather be here than any other place on the planet. I mean, I recognize for all the flaws that our country has and our system has, we live pretty damn well, and we've elevated a lot of people, by being able to come here and be successful.
But
And yeah, and
now,
we also have the right to criticize our government for the time being, at least.
right, yeah, yeah. Emphasis on that. But I mean, the see, it depends on who you talk to, but some people will be like, well, we ended up in this war, because of our government, and this because of are, yada yada yada, oh, that that certain thing was, because of the United States, or that certain thing, but at the same, which, hey, I can, I can entertain a good, conspiracy theory just as much as anyone else, as far as, 3-letter agencies involvements in this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, all these people that have been protesting mandates and stuff around the world, okay, in my humble opinion, I believe that is an American influence. I believe we have made a global, influence and a global impact on people's uh, sensibility of freedom.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. I've said this many times that freedom is contagious, but at the same time, so is totalitarianism and authoritarianism.
Right? And that's the one of the things right there. Um, the people that are, on the side of, the government, the establishment, whatever term you want to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they, they're supposed to be of the ideology / political party or whatever of tolerance, and they are anything but.
Yeah, that was
Unless you're one of them, okay, they are the furthest thing from tolerant.
it was funny. I kind of figured that out like back in the early 2020, not 2020s, early 2000s, right? I have a good friend. She's very much on the left, and it was pretty funny. I was kind of calling her out without calling her out one time because I said this comment. So I always think it's kind of funny that the people that claim to be the most tolerant are never tolerant at all. And she's like, "Yeah, I agree with you." No, I was actually talking about her. It's like no self awareness. But yeah, I mean that's the thing that's so funny about it, right? Is the fact that those who claim to be the most tolerant typically never truly are. And the definition of tolerance too has been greatly shifted over the years as well. Tolerance, for the most part, said you basically you tolerate the person or the behavior or whatever, right? I mean, it's not acceptance. Now we've gotten to the point where we've redefined tolerance as in accepting the behavior or the person or whatever. And it's just like,
Right?
no, that's not what it is.
Right? Exactly. I mean, it's like, you can be tolerant of something, but that doesn't mean you like it. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I I'm tolerant of blue-haired land whales that think I'm Satan because I'm a white male, but I definitely don't like it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure, right? I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. At the end of the day, and but the big thing that we're kind of encountering in this culture war is that it's no longer live and let live anymore. It's we know better, and you have to abide by what we say, bigot, or we destroy your way
Or,
of life.
right? Or yeah, abide by what we say, or you are a bigot. You're an istophobe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what it just made me think of this. So uh, for those in the audience who don't know, and I think comics, I think because I think we've talked about this before, but if not, um, so when I actually started this channel, I was living in a transitional housing facility for homeless veterans. Okay.
Right.
So like I have actually literally whatever been homeless, and so when they any of these people on that side start preaching about, white privilege, white supremacy, this, that, the other thing, right? It just puts a few extra, degrees on the boiling of my blood, because it's like, if there really was such a thing, as white privilege and all this other bullshit that they spew and that they teach in the college system, at least,
It's
if
not
if
even.
if
It's
if
not just the
not if
colleges
not
anymore.
right,
It's regular schools now. That's the
yeah.
frightening part.
But I mean, yeah, all this CRT bullshit,
Right.
it's like, you got to be fucking kidding me, like I have gained nothing, zero in my life because of the color of my skin, zero.
Yeah.
And it, oh God, and that's the thing too, is that all these people that seem to be behind the uh, authoritarians that we've got leading our countries around the world, are these college educated people who think, well, I'm college educated, that means I'm smarter than you.
No, it just means you're college educated.
Yeah. But they those are the people that think they know better, and they think that they're on the right side of history.
Well, the funny thing
There's
about
another
it,
buzz term for you.
yeah, a lot of that I do see coming from the left, right? I'm college educated. I never thought myself as being smarter than anyone just because I have a degree. I have worked with people like that. A good friend of mine, he very much on the left, and whenever you wanted to hire somebody, he wanted to hire people with just degrees. And it's like I kind of saw his point, like the idea that it shows that you can work with other people and blah blah blah. But I was like, look, there's plenty of smart people out there that
Yeah.
don't. And one of the guys that I got hired, he was a cool dude, hands down. But he had a history. I mean, he was a convicted addict. Really smart guy. Had a lot of crazy life experience. I mean, dude was kidnapped and lit on fire. And but he
Kind of like
was yeah, like yeah, not like Mad Morgan, but that yeah. But yeah, he was in a foreign country, which is kind of funny. I guess it goes kind of mirror Mad Morgan, but he was in a foreign country. He got a job, went to Costa Rica, was literally just showed up, got a taxi, was kidnapped, and they tried to light him on fire and dumped him in the swamp.
oh
But
wow.
he was one of the smartest guys I've ever met, hands down. When it came to tech, awesome dude. Um, he didn't have a college degree. I mean, he barely had a high school degree, but he knew computers, you know, more so than I ever will. And, I've been doing it for quite some time. He obviously did a lot longer than I did, but I mean, but it was like code. That was like his zen. And just because I had a degree, I'd never go, yeah, I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that mentality is definitely kind of,
I
firmly
think you
planted on
got
the left.
right, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure you probably got your college education and degree before uh, they started all this indoctrination type stuff. When
Yeah,
you
I
actually
mean, I
when you actually went to college to learn and to be encouraged to um, voice your own opinions and whatnot on the subject matter, instead of basically being a lab rat, because
mhm,
like I said, I was I was in that that transitional housing facility, and I'm like, let's see, well, what was it when I first got there? Well, when I first got there, I was still in my late 40s, and I'm thinking, I'm getting older. I don't, you know, I don't really want to, try and do physical, physical labor anymore, which it's ironically enough, that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of thankful because it's almost like a workout program. But anyway, I decided that I wanted to become a chemical dependency counselor.
Okay.
Because my case manager there at is the place was called Building 10. But anyway, when I was at Building 10, um, actually I was there long enough for it. I was in Building 9, and then they're like, "Hey, we're gonna move you guys over to the newer building." And so anyway, uh,
Well, did they do any kind of like job training for you?
yeah, well, they had they'd give like little seminars and stuff, and quote unquote, help yourself.
Right.
Which in a way, it was kind of a joke because it's like, well, if we could help ourselves, we wouldn't be here in the first place.
Right,
Um,
right. But that's actually not like job training or anything. Because one of the things I thought that they did, and I know there's organizations out there that do this too. I guess it kind of depends on where you're
well,
at.
they
It's like
they
if you're
would,
former military, isn't there like some place you can go to get job training?
yeah, well, there's places where where they that they would could let about where you could go and possibly do that stuff, but it wasn't really directly in-house type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my case manager, I was talking to him one time, and I'm like, how did you get started in doing what you're doing, and because the thought of that, helping out, getting a job like that, helping out my fellow veterans, getting back on their feet, really appealed to me.
Right.
And anyway, he's like, well, I started out as a chemical dependency counselor, and I'm like, cool. So what do you got to do that? And so anyway, he's like, well, you gotta, you know, you have to have that college paper, saying, I'm a certified counselor, yada yada yada.
Right. Right.
And he's like, I went to, you know, he's like, I went to school right over there uh, at the local college, right, the community college. And I'm like, cool, I will go there and do that. Well, the year that I was there, going to taking classes before the world shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my last quarter was at home learning, and apparently I'm not very good at that because I failed all three classes that I was taking.
Gotcha.
Um, and but anyway, that whole year that I was there, with the exception of the math class, every other class that I took had something in the curriculum that was pretty much white man bad, uh, minority people, you are oppressed,
Yeah.
and you can't be racist against white people because white people are the majority, and you can't be racist against the majority.
Which
You
is
know, just,
fucking ridiculous.
just all this bullshit that all these
Yeah.
people believe, right? And it's the same kind of people that are calling the truckers domestic terrorists.
Yeah. Complete contempt for the working class. I'll be honest. Yeah, as someone with a college degree, I think college at this point in time is pretty useless. Unless you're going for like an actual science degree or engineering, you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, et cetera, et cetera. Nowadays, you can learn a trade online a lot easier than was say when I went to college,
Right.
because it was pretty funny because my degree is in anthropology. It's pretty useless. I enjoy it,
Mm.
because uh, from what I learned, I do think it makes me well rounded. But at the end of the day, it's like it didn't benefit my career at all. I mean, I could check that box saying yes, I have a college degree. Never mind the fact that I may not have the 5 years experience you're looking for, but I at least tick one of those boxes. But at the end of the day, it's like for me now, like if I was in my 20s again and I had access to the learning resources we have available now, I wouldn't have gone to college. I would have paid $30 a month and learned to code online.
Right. You just made me think of Goodwill Hunting, where he's like, you could have saved yourself a whole lot of money, in library late fees.
I mean, yeah, seriously, man. I mean that's the case. I mean, you young person out there maybe listening don't need to go to college to get a good job. What you're going to do is you're going to go to college, you're going to learn some stuff, and then you're going to rack up a lot of debt, because odds are you're not as fortunate as I have, where I had my my college degree paid by my parents. I mean,
Well, see,
I
what
was
I
very fortunate with that.
right. Well, I mean, me, I saw, obviously, I spent 10 years in the United States Navy, greatest Navy in the world. And you don't have to come to us; we will bring the party to you.
Right.
Uh, but I got the Montgomery GI Bill, along with the Navy College Fund,
Hmm.
right? Because I was in there, when I was in there, trying to pick my job. The guy was like, "Hey, the aviation electrician's mate position will give right now we'll give you an additional $30,000 for college." And I'm like, okay. So, um, but the thing is, at the time, the way they were doing it, when I got out, and it's funny because before I joined, I was going to an auto diesel school, right?
Hmm.
Because I've been a gearhead since I was knee high to a grasshopper. Um, anyway, the school wasn't that good, so I'm like, I'm gonna give the military another try, because I tried straight out of high school, and a medical condition came up that I had to take care of.
Right.
But so anyway, at the ripe old age of 25, I decided to give it another try, and I actually got in. Right. Um, but anyway, I'm uh, sitting there picking my job, and he like waves that extra college money in my face, and I'm like, so I signed up and to be an aviation electrician's mate. And so when I got out, ironically enough, I decided to go to, guess what, an auto diesel school. And but the program, or whatever you want to say, that I was on, with the VA education benefits, I still had to take out student loans. Because they gave me money. They gave me college money, but they didn't give you enough to pay the tuition and all that. When the school wanted it. So I still had to take out student loans so the school would get the money they wanted when they wanted it.
Right.
And this was back in well, I started in 2007 and finished up in late 2009. And that's back when we had Obama's lovely economy going on,
Hmm.
right? So I ended up working in the industry for not quite a year, and I've had kind of a shitty decade ever since, like
So you're actually a trained diesel mechanic?
I yeah, well, when I so I went to I was down in Arizona. I went down to Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, it's Avondale, a suburb of Phoenix. where the main campus of UTI, Universal
Mm-hmm.
Technical Institute, right? And I went through their main program, and graduated from that, and then I went on to their Cummins program and their Freightliner program, and so basically, 2 years worth of stuff, and I finished with that school with a 3.88 out of 4. So your boy, contrary to what anybody may think, um, by the way I present myself on this boob tube here, your boy ain't dumb, okay? Um, so
I never got an impression that you were dumb.
right. Oh, no. I'm just saying, like
Yeah, no,
I haven't
I
always
get it, I
had
get it.
I haven't always had the best presence, you know,
Yeah.
on some of these live streams that I've been on and stuff. But there might be some people out there on the interwebs that think that I'm just a stupid hick. But anyway, um, uh, yeah. See, well, there you go. That and my sometimers is kicking in because like I just I'm like, where am I going with this?
Well, I'm just wondering why haven't you tried to get a job, doing diesel repair then? I mean,
Well,
is it just been too
I've
long or what?
right. Well, I've had not that I'm like old and decrepit, but I've had a health issue or two here along the way and stuff, and the the uh, a lot of places where like dealerships and whatnot, and like car
Mhm.
dealerships and stuff. If you're not like super fast, right?
Mhm.
After a while, like you won't be making very much money because you'll be like, you got like so much time to do a certain job, right? And it's and especially now, I think I'm just too, like, for lack of a better term, just too old and decrepit, to make a living at it at a dealership. Like if I could work for myself, that would be awesome. I mean, like I've had a quote unquote dream of, like having my own custom shop, a la like Jesse James,
Right.
making
Yeah.
making like custom off road vehicles. Actually, is the idea that I had.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I mean, the other thing too, dealerships aren't the only option. I mean, there are private like
right. But those
mechanic
those
shops.
are those places though are like few and far between as far as them actually looking for employees and whatnot. Um, but yeah, no, dude. Like I, for the longest time, I've had a dream of like making off-road buggies, like you see. They're up in the mountains, and it's pretty much nothing but a roll cage with an engine and wheels attached to it. But before I went to um, before I went to the community college, right? I actually
Mhm.
tried getting back into the electrician game. And I went to the local union house,
Right.
which is about I don't know 20 miles away, I think ish. And they're like, yeah, we got this program, that program, and the other program. And basically, what it is they get you working in the field, but at the same time, you actually have to be like in class, in a class at the union house, and
Mhm.
so it's like, basically a mix of like, going to college and working at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And but to do what I wanted to do, which was basically the program I was interested in taking, or for lack of a better term, qualified to do, would be like the people that come to your house or a place of business and run all of your your Wi-Fi, like the guys that come in and set up a Wi-Fi system,
Yeah,
for
cabling, all that
for
stuff.
a
Yeah.
for a business or something, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I picked that is because to get a job as one of the big boys, and when I say big boys, I mean the electricians that work on big construction sites and whatnot. Anyway, they they're like, you have to have had algebra, right? And these days, I'm sure to a lot of people, they're like, oh, we did algebra in freaking grade school or whatever.
Why would you need algebra?
But
That's weird.
right, well, I don't know. I guess it's got something to do with being able to figure out how much conduit needs to be ran here, there, and the other place.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, your boy here has never really been good at math. Like math is like the bane of my existence. I hate it.
No, trust me, I'm right there with
Um,
you, man.
but it's funny though, because my high school, with the exception of my sophomore year when I traipsed around New England, 3 different schools in the same my sophomore year. Um, but anyway, like we moved back home, and I did, I finished up junior and senior year in high school, back in my hometown, in Missouri, and we had um, vocational classes, as well as your traditional college prep stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, my
So
high school had that too. I think all that shit's gone
yeah,
now.
but so I took a electronics class, my junior and senior years, and which you'd think, well, you got to be good at math, that right? Um, and no, but and we did do algebra in that class, but it was structured to where it was practical. Practical is not the word I think I'm looking for, but basically, we got to apply the math to the project we were doing.
I
So
think
it,
that would classify as practical.
so it helped it make sense to me.
Right. Yeah.
Because otherwise, when I'm just sitting there trying to do algebra, and going, a plus b equals c with the square root of the hypotenuse and all, fuck that shit. To me, when it's just the freaking math there on a paper, I'm like, it's like trying to read a foreign language that you've never read before.
Right.
But at the same time, with me not really liking math or being good at it or whatever, that is one of the few A's of my school career, right? And it was, like I said, and it was because that we got to apply it, to the labs, the projects that the teacher had us doing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But anyway, I tried, getting back into the electrician game, um, before I went to the college, but the program that I was trying to do, they're like, well, we don't have enough support, to open up a new class or whatever, and so nothing ever became of that. So that's why I had the epiphany to try and become a chemical dependency counselor.
Hmm.
Go to college for that. But now I'm actually wishing or hoping to get back into playing with electricity again, because if I have to learn all this bullshit that they tried to teach me, you know, over that year that I was actually in college, I'm like, no, thank you. I'll as much as I would like to help out my fellow veterans, get back on their feet from being homeless, I'm not, I can't do the indoctrination crap anymore.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I mean, the other thing you can always look at doing too is like once you get yourself back on your feet, maybe look at doing some volunteer work.
yeah,
Maybe doing something to teach other veterans to become electricians as well, and
yeah.
get jobs that way.
But
I think job training is something that has become so underrated in our country, and especially training those who want to learn something and get a trade and not be broke and homeless.
right. But it's like I said, though, the just the amount of stuff that I heard of, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, how can any white person, quote unquote white person, especially a white male, go to college these days? It's like, because you're just, you're sitting there trying to get a degree and being told every time you turn around, being told in the curriculum that, you're the reason for all the shitty things that have ever happened in the history of the planet, which is bullshit. Okay.
No, it absolutely
But
is, because every nation, every people has their baggage.
right. And the uh the thing about it is, it's like, as Wes Moody would say, I'm getting mad. um it's like they'd the teacher would give you an article, right? Like, say in the English class or whatever, and they give you an article, and it's like about if a white person shoplifts, in a like, if something happens, some sort of disaster or something like that happens, and a white person shoplifts some stuff, oh, they're just trying to survive. But if a black person or a minority does it, it's labeled as looting, right? So you see the narrative they're trying to paint there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so if you write a report on that article saying anything other than the poor minorities, they're the man's keeping them down, uh boo misogyny and patriarchy and all this other shit, right? You get a subpar grade, and of course,
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
the teachers and stuff, in any freaking college anywhere, of course the professors whatever would deny something like that, right? But it's totally the fucking truth, though, because it's like, I did a couple of essays or whatever that I'm like, I was actually pretty fucking proud of, and I got like an average grade, like a C at best or whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck, it's like, I can't, I can't give my own, personal opinion and get a good grade. What the fuck am I doing this for? But
Yeah, dude, it's like, I'm not gonna say when I was in college it wasn't there. I mean, it was there a little bit. I remember we had this one guy. He was a poli sci professor, and he was a Marxist, and everybody wanted to take his class. I'm like, why would you want to go and take a class from a guy who's an out Marxist. And it was literally that. I mean, it's like there was the correct answer, and then there was his answer. And if you didn't pick his answer, you were wrong. Capitalism bad. Stuff like that.
You're wrong. Get your boosters. You're wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, son of a bitch! I just realized I did not publish my live stream. Damn it.
Well, I mean, and we're kind of encroaching upon your start time here anyway.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I was like, man, normally I have people queuing up by now. It's like, shit, I didn't fucking publish it. I left it unlisted.
Real quick. Whoops, I didn't. Well, okay, I didn't mean to highlight that, but damn it, Toxie, it's your fucking lucky day. Anyway, I want to thank everybody again for coming by, and for the people that I didn't, excuse me, for the people I didn't get to say hi to before, like Kai MFS, my favorite Mohawk out there, and
that is a rather pimp Mohawk.
Again, the lovely Sherry, and Brahmable. I've seen you here and there recently. I don't really know you, but thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And of course, the ever so lovely and beautiful Culture Casino. That apparently he's here, but he's quiet. Which I don't know. That's almost a what's the term? Oxymoron.
Yeah. Love it, culture.
Anyway, I'm gonna go back to this one because I'm sorry, but this is like the best comment of the stream. I have to say, I would totally, if I was a little bit richer instead of so damn good looking, I would start a business called Showback Pizza.
Maybe one of these days again.
Yeah. Again, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you very much, Comix, for being here. And I don't know, maybe consider this as a job application for the actual Yelling at Park Cars show.
Dude, I need to get you back on again, man. It's fun hanging out with you, dude.
But dude, I definitely appreciate having these conversations with you too, man. But thank you everybody again. Thank you everybody for coming. And here in about 15 minutes, Comix is gonna kick off his show. So if you've never been to, if you've never seen an episode of Yelling at Park Cars, what are you doing with your life? Straighten the fuck up, okay? And we are out of here.
Bye, everyone.